Tony Greco, General Manager, Technical Policy. Here in Canberra on the eve of this year's federal budget. It's the first budget in the electoral term for the Abbott government. For that reason, it's highly anticipated. It comes on the back of the Commission of Audit. Now that was mainly on the spending side, so it looked at quite a number of structural changes. It's probably like the Henry Review in relation to the tax review, in that we're not sure how many of those recommendations we're going to see the light of day in. So it's going to be a question of how many of those the government's prepared to move forward on. But we do know things like the pension age and also, more importantly for our members, the preservation age for when you get access to your superannuation benefits. They are some things that clearly the government will act on in the short term. With respect to the budget, it's no different this year in the sense that there's the question is what's in and what's out. That discussion always happens around about this time. There are a couple of things which have been floated, in particular the deficits levy. I think that's more political than economical, in the sense that it's going to target, we believe, those on incomes greater than 180,000. They're not recipients of government benefits, and therefore, if the government's mantra is that all are going to share in the pain, that's one way that the government can ensure that those on high incomes are actually contributing to the pain that the community is expected to bear when this budget is brought down. Those on incomes greater than 180,000 aren't likely to be recipients of many of the government benefits, and we expect some unwinding of middle class welfare when the budget's handed down. So it's a way that the government can show that high income earners, those 2% of taxpayers that earn more than 180,000 are actually contributing to the budget bottom line. The other muted change is the excise. So it's remained constant at 38.1 cents per litre. The government's looking at going back to indexation, not a very popular move because fuel is something that affects a lot of people's household budgets, and in particular small business as well. The other one that's been mooted as well is Medicare changes. I think this particular week or this particular budget will mark a significant change. Medicare as we know it probably isn't going to look the way it has, so we expect some major changes. I think the one change is visiting your GP. You're going to contribute towards that visit in some monetary compensation, but I think there'll be more changes going forward. As far as the federal budget, we understand, well, it's not a surprise that the rivers of gold have dried up, and we find ourselves in a situation where we've got budget deficits as far as the eye can see. It's unsustainable. It's not a surprise to a lot of us that we find ourselves in this situation. Pretty much revenues have flatlined, but costs are exceeding inflation and by a factor of 2 in some areas, in particular age and health. We knew that the demographics, the changing nature of how many people are ageing in our economy is going to put pressure on those types of costs. So some of the measures that we've mentioned that we expect to be in the budget are very short term. We are looking at, they're not going to make a sizable difference to the deficit, but they will, I think, rein some of that deficit back. We're looking for long-term structural changes to the revenue mix, and that's what IPA has been arguing for some time. So we're looking for the big structural changes to bring in enough money to support those expenditure demands of the budget. And this is pretty much what IPA is saying in relation to the 2014 federal budget.